Okay, everyone, welcome to a brand new week from the Celtic Way. This is Monday's morning briefing with me, Hamish. Josh is here as well on a Monday, which is a rare treat. Josh, hello.
Hello, good morning, Hamish. Good weekend to be watching Celtic. Sun was shining in a nice victory, so all is good here. How's yourself?
Yeah, all good, actually. I really enjoyed the game on Saturday. I'm sure a lot of you are the same. I think we were both just saying there that I didn't really know what we were expecting going into the game. And I certainly didn't feel particularly confident that it was a match Celtic would win, which might be a ridiculous thing to say given how good their home form has been this season, and we can maybe touch on that point. But I did just feel, having already won the league, and we've seen so many years where we go into these games after you've clinched the title and you see a bit of a lethargic performance, just lacking the same intensity. I mean, we only have to go back a couple of years and what happened in a similar situation ahead of a Scottish Cup final under Ange Postecoglou. But we saw the total opposite. I just thought it was. I mean, you could, I don't know, you could play that game to anyone and say, what point of the season do you think that was? And the weather might be a giveaway, but other than that, you wouldn't be able to tell it was near the end of the season, because it felt like the intensity was there that we've seen, for virtually every home game this season.
Yeah, definitely. Celtic were, especially in the opening stages, zipping the ball about very nicely, very quickly, very fluid. And they played well. I think a lot of the kind of the way the game went and how much Celtic were up for it was down to the team selection as well. Brendan Rodgers took Hibs seriously, put a really full strength team which I was quite surprised by, to be honest. I maybe expected people like McCowan to come in, maybe Paul Bernardo, Jeff Schlupp, but no, full strength, and it was full steam ahead. And Celtic dominated the opening stages. The Hibs goal, the opener, came very much against the run of play, in my opinion. I know Boyle had a chance a couple of minutes earlier that Schmeichel made a good save from, but somewhat against the run of play, and Celtic probably deserved to be ahead at the break. They were playing very well, and Hibs played a bit of a high line, I felt, and that's how the two goals come from, really. Kuhn playing it in behind Farida for his, and then the equaliser comes from a ball over the top from Ralston, which is an absolute peach of a pass if you actually see it. I don't know if he intends it for Kuhn initially, but it was a good ball from him nonetheless. And in the second half, the goal from Hatate is really good, one-touch football in and around the box, and he slams it home. Really good performance from him. So, yeah, really good day at the office all round. And you do love watching football in the sun. There's nothing that can take away from it. It makes you think about that whole summer football argument when you're sitting there in the stand and it's like you're roasting, but I don't know if that'll ever happen. But nonetheless, good performance from Celtic on the whole, and sent them 20 points clear, back to 17 now. I wonder if that gap will extend before the end of the season.
Yeah, just the 17 points with 3 games to go. No, it was great. I was watching the game and I was quite surprised seeing so many people in without jackets and without scarves and hats and all of that kind of stuff. But I guess it's not often an indicator in Glasgow, because it can be about 12 degrees and sunny and everyone's ditching all those things. So that was good. Okay, loads to chat about. Morning, everyone. Please let us know what's on your mind at the moment, Celtic-wise. What are your big takeaways from the weekend game? How are you feeling about a 2-match week, which is the first we've had since February? And we might as well make the most of these matches while we have them, because worrying thought that 2 weeks from now, Josh will be sitting here and we won't have any football to talk about. Certainly looking forward to any games, which is a sad thought, but we can deal with that in a couple of weeks' time. So let us know how you're feeling. First of all, a quick word from our sponsor. This Celtic Way video is brought to you by S1 Jobs. If it's time to hand in your transfer request, then head over to s1jobs.com and upload your CV today. With thousands of jobs across Glasgow, Edinburgh and the surrounding area, you'll find the one at S1 Jobs. Start your search today. We also have this offer running at the moment, 6 months of access for £1, which I would say should be the headline feature. But to be honest, I think it's fair enough. Lunch with Martin O'Neill is probably more likely to have people signing up, as good as our content is, and it is amazing. Martin O'Neill, imagine having lunch with that legend. So you can be entered in to the chance to do that if you become or you get involved with our offer. And I do think 6 months of access for a single £1, Josh, is pretty amazing as well.
Yeah, it's a very good deal. There's so much content on the Celtic way, whether it be the latest news, instant analysis from games, Ryan's player ratings, whether you agree with them or not at times, press conferences, full Q&As. We've had a lot of really interesting, in-depth interviews of late as well with players like Dedrick Boyata, who Tony was speaking to. Ryan's been speaking to a lot of people as well. So, yeah, the £1 for 6 months is very much a no-brainer. And throwing in the bargain, you could win your lunch with a real Celtic legend, one of the greats, Martin O'Neill.
Was that a wee dig at Ryan's player ratings there that I
Oh,
sensed?
no, totally, totally not. No, he's usually very good, very accurate. That was just for people who maybe don't agree with them at times.
You can tell me what you really think when we finish up here. Okay, everyone, let us know what you're thinking at the moment. What's in your mind, Josh, after the weekend?
Not much, to be fair. The season's kind of coming to a close, but just the performances of certain individuals. I thought Kuhn getting back to his best. Obviously, he was missing at Ibrox, so that's in his last 2 games. He's got 3 goals and an assist, so he's really back to form, which is good. It's good to see Ida getting in amongst the goals as well. I've always said with Adam Ida, you put the ball in the 18-yard box and he has a threat, regardless of what you make of his hold-up play, his first touch, whatever. If you put the ball in the box, he will score goals. And I think a lot of his goals in recent times, he has 4 in his last 3 games. Scored at Ibrox now. Scored 2 in the game that won Celtic League at Tannadice. He's got 1 in the Scottish Cup semi-final. So it might actually be more than 4 goals.
I think it's 5 and 4, is it?
There you go. And I think he's on 19-20 for the campaign now. So given the minutes he's got, I think his goals per minute ratio is actually quite decent.
Tell you exactly what it is. It's a goal every 117 minutes. And for reference, because that might not mean much to you, Daizen Maeda this season, a goal every 118 minutes. So Adam Ida having a better season than Daizen. What would you say to that? I'm joking.
Well, it definitely goes against the whole narrative surrounding Adam Ida, doesn't it? But that's good. That's interesting to hear. He's kind of a guy who's never really been the first choice striker throughout the campaign. And people say you give him a run of games, he'll get goals. And he's had this run of games and he's got the goals recently. So it's good to see. I don't know whether he's going to play midweek at Pittodrie. The manager already knows the team and we'll discuss that at some point. But I think it's definitely gearing up towards probably being a front 3 in the cup final of Niklas Kuhn, Adam Ida and Daizen Maeda. And it's good to see Adam Ida getting in among the goals because he's very much a confidence player, in my opinion. You've seen that earlier in the season. I think he went through a real barren spell around about maybe November, December time where he wasn't getting a goal and it was something like 9-10 games and it was tough for him. It's hard. 13 games, there you go. So no, it's good to see him back at his goal scoring best and hopefully that continues between them and the end of the season.
It's funny because I did a bit of a deep dive into Adam Ida's scoring earlier. So just quickly, his stats are he's played 50 games this season, 23 starts and 27 games he's come on as a sub, which I was stunned when I heard that because you have it in your head that he very rarely starts and comes on as a sub virtually all the time. But 23 starts, 27 subbed on. 19 goals he scored, so he's got 12 in the league, 2 in the Scottish Cup, 2 in the League Cup and 3 in the Champions League. As I say, averages a goal roughly every 117 minutes, which I would say is a pretty decent record. I know you can make the argument maybe he comes on and scores some late goals in games when he's playing against tired defences, but I think you could also say that he's not necessarily starting a lot of games, and it can't be easy a lot of the time coming into a game. And I think he's a real confidence player. Summed up earlier in the season, you're talking about that drought he went on. It was 13 games he didn't score a single goal in. People were talking about it. He was been asked about it. Brendan Rodgers was been asked about it. And he breaks that duck with not 1, but 2 goals in 2 minutes at Villa Park. Like, how do you go 13 games without scoring a single goal and then score 2 in 2 minutes against, a top team in Aston Villa? And then after that, he kicks on again. And then there's another bit of a drought. And now he's kicking on again. And so he's a real confidence player. But the other way you can look at it is, are you only going to get the best of Adam Ida if he's your main striker, like we're seeing at the moment? And let's make it clear, we're only seeing Adam Ida right now starting games, I think, because Jota's missing. I think if Jota was fully fit, or if Jota was fit at all, there's a fair chance Ida wouldn't have been starting all of these games recently. So I think it's an interesting one. Do you put your full faith in Ida next season as your main striker? I would certainly have doubts about that. I'd still want someone signed, but if you do sign someone, then do you risk not seeing the best of Adam Idah? It's quite a difficult one.
Yeah, it's tough. And what message, you say he's a confidence player, I very much agree with that. What message does that send to Adam Idah if you then bring another striker in the summer for £8-9 million and you've got him sitting there? What's he going to think then? But I think he's a professional and he'll probably just want to work to get his minutes like he had to do this season at certain points. But yeah, like you say, he's reliable in big games at times. I know his loan spell at Celtic scored some very, very big goals, but you touch on the two down at Villa Park, yeah, although it really meant nothing for Celtic because they were already through. Still a big game, big Champions League match, Battle of Britain.
Yeah.
With a brace, not only to, it wasn't as if it was like at the end of the game and Celtic were a couple of goals down, it was to drag them from 2-0 down to make it 2 each and on the night. He obviously played a big part in that goal against Young Boys, the own goal from Loris Benito. That was massive. Scored at Ibrox this season. He scored a brace in the game that won Celtic the league. Scored in the Scottish Cup semi-final. That's several big matches, and it wouldn't surprise me if he came up trumps maybe in the cup final against Aberdeen. So he scores big goals in big games, and like you can't argue he comes on against tired defences. I would love to actually know the number of goals he's scored when he's come on in like so-called lesser games against so-called tired defences to see what the actual numbers are there, but that's maybe for another day. We'll just have to wait and see what happens in the summer. Obviously, you have Jota, who's going to miss the first part of the season, first half of the season probably. That gives you Daizen Maeda, Kuhn, Yang, James Forrest. So you're definitely looking for another attacker. Whether it's going to be a striker, whether it's going to be a wing, I think we debated that in weeks gone by. It remains to be seen. But Idah will be there. He will be an option, and he always offers a threat. And he's got that presence that Brendan Rodgers always talks about. I think he spoke about it a couple of weeks ago in one of the press conferences, maybe before the visit to Ibrox, where Daizen Maeda and Adam Idah offer you two completely different options, and he does that he always talks about him being a reference point for the teams. A totally different dynamic and attack to what anything Celtic have, and you certainly need someone like that there if you want to try and hold up the play and things like that. So he's definitely a very useful player to have around regardless.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was an obvious example just from the weekend in that first goal that we scored. And you're right to mention the great pass. Was that was Ralston for the first one, wasn't it? Yeah. And I know the one you're talking about, it's a lovely kind of inside of the foot type scoop over. But Idah's not going to get any kind of any great credit for that, really. But he's the one that makes it happen. He's the one who gets, I think it's Rocky Bashiri into a battle, and then Kuhn kind of profits from that and scores. So, and he just spoke about that after the game, and I think he feels at times maybe fans, and he understands why, because he says fans are obsessed with, goals scored, and I get all that, and he gets all that, but he does feel maybe at times the work he's doing has been underappreciated. I think his goal scoring return is really good. If he's going to hit 20 goals, you would think that's pretty good for your first full season at the club. There can't be many players, new signings that have scored that amount in their first full season. But I do also think, his build-up play can be frustrating at times, and he also misses a lot of chances. But you're looking at him as a pretty young player. I don't know, is he 23,
24 now? Yeah, 24.
But you're looking at him and you're thinking, okay, I don't think his actual play has been particularly amazing this year. I think it's been quite frustrating at times. You've still scored 19 goals. Imagine next year you can kick on and you can get your all-round play. You just take more care of the ball, take better care of the ball, and also don't go 13 games without a goal. That's not acceptable as a Celtic player. Imagine you can sort those two things. We could be looking at at least a 25 goal a season guy. Because I don't think he's been bad at all, but you want him to kick on next season, definitely. Same goes for like Arnie Engels as well. Yeah,
it's just the barren spells that have really killed him a wee bit at times and put in the mind of supporters and maybe created a different narrative to what exists. Especially with the way it is. There wasn't even a winter break this year. So many games, 50, 60 games, but still scoring 20 goals is decent. Like you say, all you need to better that next season and be into a 25, 30 goal striker is score a couple in that barren run. And then you're looking at a guy who's maybe the top scorer. You never know how it's going to pan out next season. If Daizen Maeda wasn't exceptional, I think he does now only, 3 goals behind Nicholas Kuhn for the season, which is very, very good. And Kuhn's a Player of the Year candidate. So there you go. Just be interesting to see what happens with him in the summer. Still has a lot of development to go. I know you talk about the kind of younger player being 21, 22, but 24 is still young for a footballer, and you can still very much improve after that. And under someone like Brendan Rodgers, I back him to get the best out of the likes of Ida, Arne Engels, because you're still looking for more from these kind of big money signings going into next season. Austin Trusty as well, who I don't think covered himself in glory for Martin Boyle's goal at the weekend, clearing it straight to his feet. So a wee bit ropey from him. We'll see if he gets the nod at Pittodrie. I think he probably will. So still looking a wee bit more from him and Engels as well going into next season. But with a full pre-season as Celtic players behind their belts, I think they'll improve.
Rio Hatate was brilliant, wasn't he? I mean, just fantastic. I just thought it was a sensational performance, to be honest. Everything he did. There was even a moment in the second half that ball was played to him down the line. It didn't look like he was going to make it there at all, and he got first to the ball. He just looked hungry. See, when he's in that kind of mood, and to be honest, he's been in that kind of mood, I think, all the time over the past 5 or 6 games. I think there's an argument he's been our best player over the past couple of months, maybe alongside Dyson. But when he's playing like that, you are kind of thinking if he does move on for ahead of next season, you're really going to miss that.
Yeah, he's a real maestro in the middle of the park. That's one of the words you could use to describe Rio Hatate. Like you say, in this kind of run after the St Johnstone defeat in the league at McDiarmid Park, I think the whole team's been playing very well, and Rio Hatate is one of those guys who, alongside probably Adam Ida, has been really standing out in this run of games. He's been playing so well. Took his goal very well at the weekend. It was good to hear Brendan Rodgers talk about how they're maybe going to look to sign him to a long-term contract and maybe get in touch with his agent if they can. Said that before the game at the weekend. So,
do you think there's any chance of that?
I don't know. The team that was mentioned last week was Udinese. I'm not sure.
Better than that, you would think.
That's what I was thinking. So he has done it in the Champions League this season as well. I mean, he scored a crucial goal against RB Leipzig at Parkhead in the 3-1 win. So he's proven he can do it, and he's been such a key player. But at the same time, he's not like a 23, 24-year-old moving on. I think he is getting to that age where he's 26, 27, maybe only got one big move left in him. So one big contract left in him. So whether that's going to be, it's his decision whether he wants to stay at Celtic, sign that big contract, or see what he can get elsewhere. He's been very open in the past, Rio, about his ambitions to play down south, playing the Premier League, playing big leagues. But what maybe teams he could get to that would be interested in him in those leagues won't give you is probably that Champions League experience, that winning trophies, regular trophies every season with Celtic. So I don't know what's going to happen with him in the summer. I think we will see one departure, probably of a big player. It's kind of par for the course over the past couple of years. We've had Matt O'Reilly last summer, Jota the summer before that, and some big players. So I expect one to leave this summer. Who it's going to be, I don't know. It could be Kuhn, could be Hatate, could be both. Let's hope it's not both. But I certainly love Rio Hatate to stick around because he's such a key player. I think you take him out of the team, you lose so much creativity in the middle of the park. People criticise his body language and things like that after the game. Make no mistake, that guy gives 110% every week. I think you see him dead on his feet at the end of mostly every game. Brendan Rodgers always putting an arm around him, discussing things he can improve in his game, and I've been really impressed with him. I remember when Rodgers initially came in, I don't think he particularly rated Hatate. He wasn't in the team.
Remember he bombed him for the Ross County Flag Day game, brought Turnbull in. There was a bit of a debate over whether he would work with Hatate.
Yeah, there you go. So, but it's been good to see Rodgers really back him this season and take him and put him in the team as a real first choice player, and he's been very, very good. Celtic have needed him to step up because obviously Matt O'Reilly carried a lot of the kind of midfield burden, you could argue, last campaign. He left. You've got a young guy in Arne Engels coming in the door. Paulo Bernardo still a young player as well. McCown's just getting to grips with life at Celtic as a kind of squad player. So Hatate's really had to step up this season, and I think for the majority he definitely has.
I thought Callum McGregor was really good on Saturday as well. Just really kind of quick onto things. Didn't let anything build from a Hibs point of view. Was just snuffing things out, but was also just moving things quickly. I think McGregor and Hatate have a really good combination in midfield. Arnie Engel's just a little bit quieter than the two. I think there's been a few games recently. He's not been particularly bad, but he's just been overshadowed, I think, by those two. And that's something you just want to see him really being that star for. Is Hazel bringing up Anthony Ralston, who you've already brought up his past. But I agree. I think we've actually reached a point where Anthony Ralston, we know his limitations to an extent, and we know that Alistair Johnson is a better player all round. But what we do know, I think, when you put Ralston in, he doesn't let you down. And in any game, really, you look at Ibrox, and I thought he was pretty good at Ibrox. And generally a kind of poor game. I thought he gave his all, and certainly doesn't often let a winger get the better of him, which I always think is an important thing as a fullback. He's pretty solid, and I just really like Anthony Ralston, and I hope he sticks around.
Yeah, I think domestically he's constantly and always dependable. Whatever game you put him in, whether it's your toughest away game of the season at Ibrox, whether it's Hibs at home, St Johnstone at home, he'll always give you his all and play to a solid 7 out of 10 every week, if not an 8 out of 10. And it was another decent performance from him at the weekend. Like you say, never really gets a winger, lets a winger get the better of him, and he can also provide going forward, getting bombing up and down that right-hand side with overlapping runs, playing a lovely ball over the top. So yeah, I like Ralston. I think he's a really, really good player to have around. You need guys like that Scottish core of players who know the club, know the standards, everything about it, who give their all for the shirt and the badge, and that's exactly what you want and you need in a club like Celtic.
I wonder if we ever talk down his ability too much, because you see a pass at the weekend, and it's a great pass. I think did he score against Kilmarnock a couple of weeks ago, and that was a good finish. He is capable of some really good bits of play, and I think sometimes we just put him down to this kind of workman like Bricky. The Bricky nickname probably doesn't help, but someone who just goes and applies himself and never lets you down. I guess that's just a part of the rhetoric with else, but he does have quality as well, and you see that on occasion like the weekend. So I just really like him, and as I say, I know there's always a debate. You probably hear it this summer again, or we should have a better backup option at right back. But I just think with everything considered, you want players coming through the Celtic Academy to be involved in the first team, and all the UEFA homegrown stuff. And the fact that he's now been a part of the winning culture at the club for so many years, I think to have Alistair Johnson as your first choice, Anthony Ralston behind him, can't really argue with that at all. Helen's saying he's very underrated, unfortunately, which is fair. Michael saying the third goal was sublime, the one-touch pass, and it was a great finish from Hatate for that third goal. Anything else from the weekend? Casper was back.
Yeah, I was quite surprised actually to see his name on the team sheet going into the game. Schmeichel, but makes a good save from Boyle in the first half, and didn't really have much else to do apart from that I can recall. Obviously the goal, I think he could do much for that. So yeah, good to see him back, get a full 90 minutes under his belt. Rodgers confirmed after the game it will be Sinisalo on Wednesday.
Yes.
Then it will be Schmeichel on Trophy Day against St Mirren. Left the door open for the cup final, so we'll just have to wait and see.
Schmeichel all day long.
I don't know. We'll see. I feel kind of bad for Sinisalo if Schmeichel does get the cup final. I think obviously Youngville's been very, very good in the games that he's played. He's made some good saves. He's shown that he can be a future Celtic number one, definitely, in my opinion. I'd like to see him get more opportunities and more matches next season.
Do you agree that you would give him the cups? Because I think give him both cups the whole way through, including any Hampden games.
Yeah, definitely. I'd give him the cups, definitely. Unless, and you've got a debate, if you get to the Scottish Cup final next season, it's Schmeichel's last campaign. Could that be his last ever game? And then it's a tough one, but definitely want to see Sinisalo get more opportunities next season. But it looks like it will be. Well, he will play on Wednesday, and then Schmeichel. I don't think it's as nailed on as Schmeichel in the final. I'm not sure.
Okay. I just realised you brought up a team selection dilemma for next season's Scottish Cup final. You're a wee bit early with that one.
Yeah, actually. Yeah, that's over a year away now. That's madness.
I know, and hopefully we're there. I like Sinisalo. I'm glad he's coming back in, actually, because I think we'd maybe all just kind of thought Schmeichel's back in, that'll be him until the end. But I guess there's an element of having to see how Schmeichel reacts to the weekend. It's quite a serious injury he had. He was missing for, I think, 5 or 6 games. Yeah, I quite like Sinizalo. I think I'm quite impressed with what we saw, and I want to see him more next season. I think we will see him more next season. And to be honest, I think that might have always been the plan. Just I remember seeing some quotes, I think, from the manager speaking about Sinizalo and his first year at the club being about learning about being in a big club and how it works, and basically being a sponge to Kasper Schmeichel and taking in as much information as possible. And then the plan for the second year was for him to play more. So I think we're 100% going to see that next year with Sinizalo. What else do we know about Wednesday? The manager says that the team is set and the players already know the team, which is interesting. I think Alistair Johnson might come back. He's certainly available for this game. And then, although I don't know if that means you then play Ralston at the weekend and Johnson for the cup final, not sure. I think we're going to see a lot of changes for this game. Yeah. And to be honest, I actually really hope we do. I'm not massively fussed about the result at all. Okay, when the game starts, I'm going to be hoping Celtic win. But I'd rather just, I want to see a few players on Wednesday night. You've touched on a few of them, Bernardo, McCowan. I want to see Yang. I hope Johnny Kenny starts through the middle. I think he will, to be honest. It strikes me as a kind of game Kenny will start. Potentially James Forrest in there to try and get him his goal. I wonder how important that actually is to James Forrest. We're all making a big deal of it, but I wonder. And, potentially a youngster or two, because we've had a few of them, in recent months that we might like to see.
Yeah, perhaps Sean McCardle. I don't know if he'll get the start actually, but maybe get a good chunk of the minutes off the bench, maybe the last half hour or something. It was good to see him come on at the weekend. Jeff Schlupp probably play as well.
Could be his final game for us, maybe.
Yeah, maybe he comes on in the trophy. They don't know, but yeah. So it'll be a much changed starting 11. I think the players know about it because it is going to be sweeping changes, like you say. So it'll be interesting to see how the game goes itself. Whether it's going to have that kind of similar feel to Saturday. I don't think it will. I think it will very much feel like an end of season game, given the number of changes the manager's going to make. So. But at the same time, you'll have guys coming into the team who are fighting for jerseys, fighting for minutes. People like Yang, people like probably James Forrest, Johnny Kenny, who his future's probably up in the air going into the summer. So if he goes up to Pittodrie, Johnny Kenny, and maybe bags a goal or two, then it kind of changes how the outlook on his going into the summer. So it could be a big game for the likes of him. It's one where Mike Nawrocki comes back into the team. I was quite amused actually at the weekend, given Rodgers said in the past he likes a left-footed centre-half on the left and a right-footed centre-half on the right. And then he plays 2 left-footed centre-halves and leaves Mike Nawrocki on the bench again. So I felt quite bad for the big man. Maybe he gets some minutes at Pittodrie. We'll just have to wait and see. But what he said as well before the game against Hibs at the weekend was that as much as it's good for young players and kind of fringe guys playing in front of 60,000 odd at Parkhead, you want to see how they can cope at tough away venues. So that certainly suggests to me that the likes of your Kennys are going to get minutes. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what the team is. But I think it will be definitely 7+ changes, 8+ changes maybe as well.
Because you always talk, I think, like earlier on in the season, you always talk about when we win the league, and if we get to the fortunate position of winning the league with a few games to spare, okay, let's get the youngsters in. But in reality, okay, one of the games is going to be a derby, so you're not going to play the youngsters in that. Trophy day, you're probably not going to, because you want that to be a really good afternoon, and you don't want to spoil the party before it's begun. And even like the weekend there, he had a chance to play youngsters, but I think he really wanted to get some momentum going and really get players going ahead of this cup final. That's obviously a huge game. So we really only have Wednesday night. So I think we're going to see a number of changes. And I really do hope there's a few players in there. As I say, I think Johnny Kenny's going to start this game. And I just want a good look at him, because he's come on in a few games and he's done some things well, and there's other things where he doesn't quite look like he's maybe ready yet to be a first-team Celtic player. But then you look at his run in Ireland and how well he did with Shamrock Rovers, albeit at a lower level, but still pretty impressive. Give him the chance to go and shine, and give a few other young players as well. And not even just kind of Celtic Academy players, but as you say, guys like Yang, who you just want to just get a bit more information on Yang. it's a great point you make. If you put someone like Yang in or Johnny Kenny in and they score a couple of goals on Wednesday night, it changes the whole perception of them going into the new season, both for the coaching staff, the player themselves, and for us as fans. So looking forward to it.
And it's not as if Johnny Kenny's scoring a brace at home to relegation fodder. You're going up to Pittodrie, Aberdeen. It's a tough game.
Are they playing for anything? I've kind of missed out on that.
I'm not
I think
sure.
Hibs have got that sewn up, don't they?
Yeah, more or less. Hibs are away at St Mirren, and then they've got Rangers at home in the final day. Hibs. So I think if they win on Wednesday night, Hibs, it's all but sealed third for them. So Aberdeen, if they want to keep their third hopes alive, they really need to get a result against Celtic. On Wednesday night, I thought they were really poor actually yesterday against Rangers, losing by 4-0. So I don't know what kind of, if Jimmy Tilleen's going to make a lot of changes for this game, similar to Brendan Rodgers. Just have to wait and see. But yeah, it'll be a good game. It'll be a fun game to watch, I think. And just seeing these guys, like you say, you can't really get a sense of the player Johnny Kenny is by seeing continual 10, 15, 20-minute cameos. You really need to see him play 60, 70, maybe even a full 90 on Wednesday night. So we'll just have to wait and see how he goes. I remember the game at Ross County, 4-1 game earlier in the campaign. Johnny Kenny came on, helped set up a goal, gave a good account of himself that day. He's only been limited to real, I can't even remember him playing more than 10 minutes since then. So he's one I'm very much looking forward to see, because he was scoring goals. He was one of the top scorers in the UEFA Conference League at a certain point this season. So he can do it at a decent level. Maybe it's one where he scores a couple of goals during the weekend or whatever happens during the week. I think it would be maybe good for him to get a loan in Scotland next season, see how he goes.
I agree.
Depending on how Celtic do in the transfer market and who they look to sign, but maybe a loan elsewhere in the Premiership could serve him well.
Just nice to have a midweek game to look forward to. So looking forward to it. And one other thing I wanted to mention, just a small update on our Champions League playoff path. There's 3 teams now confirmed into the round. So Bodo Glimt are confirmed into the round. They'll be seeded. We're in there as well. And a third team is confirmed at the weekend. FC Basel have won the league in Switzerland for the first time since 2017. So I think they're going to be unseeded. So if we are seeded, there's a chance we could play Basel, who we played all those years ago. It was the Seville year, wasn't it? We played them in a Champions League qualifier, lost. And it turned out to be one of the best things ever because we got that amazing run to Seville. The other additional point is they've now got Xherdan Shaqiri playing for them. And also Albion Ayeti, who scored and was sent off for them on Saturday. So that'd be interesting.
I'm already getting visions of this Champions League playoff back at Celtic Park. Albion Ayeti, Xherdan Shaqiri. It's already getting nightmares from it. Honestly, don't even continue on from there.
Yeah, I liked that when I found it out earlier. But there's obviously a fair bit to be sorted out. We don't know yet whether Celtic will be seeded or unseeded. I still think we will be seeded. But we'll have to wait and see. Okay, Josh, we'll head off for now. Thank you for giving up some time to chat to me. Thank you for all of you giving up some time to tune in, whether live or later on in the day. Have a great rest of your Monday. I'll return this time tomorrow to do it all again.